How long should your workouts be? Well, it really depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. But for most of you guys that are trying to just get a good physique, trying to get in shape, I would say about an hour a day. If you can do an hour a day every single day. Now, yeah, maybe take a rest day on Sunday, so 6 days a week, an hour a day. That's what you should generally be doing. I did 75 hard until I ended up failing it because on day 63, boom, ran Spartan race and jacked myself up. But in that protocol, you're working out 2 45-minute workouts per day, and that's what I was doing. And it's hard to do, okay? It worked out well. I got in great shape, but it's pretty hard to do. Now, when I'm training for an ultra marathon, something heavy like that, or a marathon, yeah, I might be training a lot more than that because my Sunday long run might be 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday long run, especially if I'm doing a trail run and I'm doing an ultra marathon. It might be a 6-hour run on a Sunday and it might be a 4-hour run on a Saturday, okay? That's crazy, that's insane. That's not what most people should be doing. When you go to the gym, when you lift weights, what you should be doing. You should be able to get it done in about an hour. Now, when I was working out 3 days a week and doing full body 3 days a week with a lot of sets, I would do 2-hour workouts. That was a little bit insane. I think it's a little bit extreme. You know, I also am talking to some people in the gym, so it's not exactly the straight up 2 hours. But what I have found doing the 75 hard for the 63 days that I was doing it was that in 45 minutes, I could do a pretty good split and I could get a lot of sets in, right? So it depends on how much volume that you're trying to get in and whether or not you have a crowded gym. Right? If I didn't have a crowded gym and I could just split between machines, so while I'm resting, do a set for a different muscle group, that would be great. I could get it done even faster, get more work done. But what I decided to do was every break where I'm resting, I would read a book on my phone, so I get my reading done for the day as well. But an hour of time in the gym, that should be plenty if you do an hour a day, right? It depends on how many days a week that you're working out, right? But I would say about an hour a day or 6 hours a week if you want to build a really good physique, because that's enough time to do enough sets, to do enough volume. Now, you might have heard me talk about doing the 1 set to failure approach. Yeah, that works, all right? It works really good. In that case, you're going to be in the gym 2 days a week, maybe 1 day a week to maintain, but 2 days a week for most people. And you're only going to be in there for maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, could be even less than that. Sometimes I would finish my workout in 25 minutes because you're doing 1 set to absolute failure. All right, it's going to be a lot more hard. It's going to be a lot more difficult. You're not resting at all. You're just going from machine to machine. So when you add up the rest time and doing a regular workout, it works out to pretty much the same. Now, if I had to compare and say, okay, which is going to be the best for growing mass if I just wanted to gain muscle, here's what I would tell you from all my experience, all my research, and experimenting on myself. It would be doing daily workouts, taking 1 day of rest, so working out 6 days a week in the gym, and doing about hour-long workouts, doing not full body, but doing push, pull, leg, essentially, and then eating protein throughout the day, right? 5 or 6 protein meals so that you have protein synthesis going on all the time. That's going to be the best, and a calorie surplus of at least 300 to 500 calories per day. That's the optimal for growing muscle. Now, that might not be your goal, and again, that's pretty extreme. That's a lot. That's a big commitment, right? So again, it depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to run, if you want to run a marathon, look, if you want to run half marathon, you need to be running realistically 30 miles a week. You can't start there, but you need to get up to around 30 miles a week, and that's roughly to run a decent half marathon. All right, it's decent. It's not good, but it's decent. You want to get under 2 hours for most people running about 30 miles per week. You're probably going to get there for most people. All right, so what does that equate to? Well, 30 miles a week, it depends on what your pace is. But hey, look, all right, if it takes you, think of it this way. In order to run, let's say 5 miles, it takes you an hour. That's a little over 10-minute miles, right? That's probably about right. So if you have 5 miles, if you're running 30, right, that's 6 hours. So 6 hours of workouts, of running workouts, if you want to do the running side. If you want to add the lifting into there, then you're going to add another few hours on top of that as well, which you should be lifting as well. So you might be doing 10 hours of total workout time. Now let's say you want to run a marathon, a full marathon. Okay, well, a full marathon, you need to be at least 40 miles a week, probably 50, 60, maybe 70 miles a week. Let's say 60 miles a week for most people, get you a decent marathon time, probably under the 4-hour mark. All right, what are you going to need to do there? Well, you're probably going to double it, right? So that means that time of what we were saying, 6 hours is going to be 12 hours a week, or maybe more. It might be 13, 14 hours a week of running. And then you add a few hours of weightlifting in there. Okay, you can see where you're at. So this is what it takes to do this kind of stuff. You want to run an ultra marathon, well, forget it. Because you're going to be running a lot more. You're going to be putting a lot more time. It's going to wipe you out. That's some tough stuff. You want to run a 100-mile race. I mean, you can't go a lot above. You're going to hit a point where more is not going to be better. So, but you're probably gonna be hitting some 70, 80, 90 mile, maybe 100-mile weeks to really pull this off. And you're gonna be running on difficult terrain. You're gonna be running up hills and up mountains, so it's gonna take you longer. You're not gonna be able to run necessarily 5 miles in an hour. You might eventually get to that point, but a lot of them are gonna be slower than that. So those are kind of the basics of the time. But I would say though, in general, most people, if you just wanna get fit, if you just wanna, cardiovascularly get fit, you wanna get in shape, you wanna get lean, then you're looking at probably 6 hours in the gym per week and 3 to 5 hours of cardio per week. That's a lot, but that's what it really takes. If you want to do the most minimal approach, like let's say you already have a physique and you just want to stay lean or whatever, you go for walks and stuff. You don't have to necessarily run, but you probably need to be in the gym at least 2 hours a week to maintain. That's what I've found. If you do that, you can be fine. So anyway, if you want full workout plans and programs, I've got them all in the Bulldog Mindset membership. The link down below. I'll see you tomorrow.